string of Gazan hospitals no longer functional, Hamas says it's suspending hostage negotiations with Israel. But all across the besieged city, innocent children are paying war's highest price.
We come now to shout and invite you to protect us. We want medicine, food and education. And we want to live as the other children live.
A desperate plea to the world from the children of Gaza.
We come to Al-Shifa hospital to keep us from bombing. We suddenly ran out of them more after bombing the hospital.
Since they stood on the steps of Al-Shifa hospital, hundreds more Gazan children have been killed. Israel's bombardments so unrelenting, the WHO says one child dies every 10 minutes.
My children, and there were more than 30 people, boys and women, all of them women. What happened to them? What happened to them?
More than 10,800 people have now been killed in Gaza. Almost 70% of them women and children.
Gaza is becoming a graveyard for children.
Once a refuge from the bombing, Al-Shifa hospital is now ground zero.
Shooting and bombardment everywhere. You hear it every second here around the Shifa hospital. And the people who tried this morning to evacuate from the hospital have been shooted in the streets. Some of them got killed, some of them got injured.
3 of the nurses there have been killed. The hospital now completely out of fuel, which it relies on to run its ventilators. 3 premature babies and 4 other patients have already died. And there are grave fears for 36 more newborns.
Every dead baby is a tragedy, but that tragedy should be placed squarely at the responsibility of Hamas.
Israel says Hamas militants are hiding in the hospital, but has denied it's under siege, saying it's offered to help relocate the babies and provided 300 litres of fuel.
We talked with the head of the hospital, and we are still waiting for the hospital to pick up the fuel.
But the hospital says that's only enough to last around half an hour. In the meantime, children suffer.
Crushed in their homes, they're losing their limbs, they're undergoing surgery without anesthetics. What we are witnessing is horrifying, no matter the definition, and it should shock the conscience of all of us.
In just 5 weeks, more children have died in this war than the number killed in global conflicts each year since 2019.
You need to be able to distinguish Hamas from the Palestinian people. And so you cannot use the horrific things that Hamas did as a reason for a collective punishment of the Palestinian people.
What do you do?
I don't think we can turn away. It's hard when you've got little kids as well. See these beautiful kids and what they're going through. And of course there needs to be a ceasefire. What happens after that?
Well, do you even get to that? Because I know France has called for a ceasefire, which felt like a big moment, actually. It's, I think, the first major Western nation that was prepared to take that step. America hasn't. Australia said it supports steps towards a ceasefire. That's not quite the same thing as a ceasefire. But in the end, I don't see Israel complying with any of those requests or those demands, because for them, this is just what has to be done.
Yeah,
it's just so
says
hard.
he'll move the children, but I mean, I don't know how you sort of marry that up with the pictures we just saw.
You've got kids in incubators. I don't know where they can move. And this is like we talk a lot about the death toll here. I think it's worth recognising it's more than just the death toll. It's the toll on the living. So, you know, those stories of people who were having surgery without anaesthetic, kids but also adults. Some of the stories of women who've given birth, like, you know, caesarean sections without anaesthetic and then go. Imagine the infection. It's just... There comes a point where I think the world, and clearly you're seeing the world edge towards this, where they say there has to be a different way. If this is what it takes.
The US hasn't been stronger?
I think they're starting to change their language. Yeah. It'll be, I don't know.
What do you do with Hamas, though, after that, right? Because these aren't good guys. You don't go into villages and massacre families in their beds. So where do you go from there? But this can't keep happening because it can't.